Welcome to Haunted Horizons. Tonight's story is a warning. Keep the lights low. And don't answer the whispers. The Bone Tongue Book. They found the cabin because the GPS stopped working. 1 second the phone had bars, the next it showed a blank grid, like the world ended beyond the tree line. The road didn't exactly turn into a dirt trail. It forgot it was a road at all and became something that only existed if you kept driving. Dev laughed anyway, trying to make fear sound like fun. "Bro, this is perfect," he said. "No signal, no people, just vibes." Mira didn't laugh. She stared out the passenger window at the pine trees, packed too tight together, like they were hiding something. Rishi was in the back seat, pretending he wasn't nervous by tapping an annoying rhythm on the cooler. They weren't ghost hunters, they were just friends who wanted a weekend away, cheap, stupid, and loud, because school and parents and life had been pressing on them like a thumb. The cabin appeared in a dip between the trees, old wood, crooked porch, black windows. It looked less like a rental and more like a place the forest had swallowed and then slowly spit back out. The air smelled like wet bark and cold pennies. Mira climbed out and immediately flinched. "Do you feel that?" Dev shrugged. "Feel what?" "Like, we're being listened to." Rishi snorted. "By squirrels?" But when Dev stepped onto the porch, the boards gave a long groan that didn't sound like wood. It sounded like a throat clearing. Inside, the cabin was dusty, but not abandoned. Someone had been there recently. Firewood stacked neat, a lantern filled with oil, a few jars in the kitchen that still had labels, and on the coffee table, like it was waiting, a book. Not a normal book. Not leather-bound old Bible creepy. This was worse. It looked alive in a way that made your eyes want to slide away from it. The cover was stretched, skin dark, stitched with thick thread that resembled hair. Symbols were pressed into it, deep and deliberate, like someone had carved them with devotion. Mira didn't touch it. Dev did. The second his fingertips brushed the cover, the cabin temperature dropped. Not cold, like winter. Cold like something had taken a breath and stolen warmth from the room. Rishi leaned forward, curious in the dumb way curiosity always is. "What is that? Some prop book?" Dev opened it. The pages were thick and yellow, covered in writing that didn't look like ink. It looked like something had been burned into the paper from the other side. Mira backed away. "Put it down." Dev laughed. "It's just..." A sound came from beneath the cabin. A soft, slow thump. Then again. Then again. Like something beneath the floor was knocking upward, testing the boards, counting who was inside. Dev closed the book quickly. Silence. Then the cabin's old radio on the shelf, unplugged, clicked on by itself. Static poured out like breath. And through the static a voice spoke, soft as a secret. "Rid. For me." They didn't sleep that night. They tried. Lights on, jokes forced, pizza eaten cold because nobody wanted to go near the kitchen window. Every few minutes they'd all pause, listening for another sound under the cabin. By 2:12 a.m., Rishi snapped. "I'm checking under the house. I'm not staying in here with that knock sound." Mira grabbed his arm. "Don't." Dev tried to act brave. Let him. It's probably a raccoon. They found a hatch door under a rug in the living room. The metal ring was cold, like it had been in a freezer. When Rishi lifted it, the smell hit first. Damp earth and something old, like a basement full of forgotten clothes. A narrow crawl space yawned below. Rishi shined the flashlight down and froze. Something was down there. Not a person. A cardboard box, half collapsed, water-stained with tape reels spilling out like guts. Mira whispered, "Who keeps tapes under a cabin?" Dev climbed down anyway because Dev always climbed down. Inside the box, an old tape recorder, a few unmarked cassettes, and one cassette with a label written in shaky handwriting, "Woodland Litany, do not play." Rishi laughed once, too sharp. "Bro, that's literally begging us to play it." Mira shook her head hard. "No." Dev's grin was nervous. "Just a little. We'll stop if it's weird." Mira stared at him. "It's already weird." But they brought the recorder upstairs. The tape slid in with a soft click that sounded too much like a lock opening. Dev pressed play. At first, only hiss. Then the sound of someone breathing close to the microphone. A man's voice began speaking in a steady tone, like a researcher, like someone reading notes. He described the book, the symbols, the language. Mira's skin prickled as the voice said, "If you are hearing this, do not proceed. This is not folklore. This is a door." Dev held his breath, finger hovering over stop, and then the voice on the tape changed. Not the man anymore, something else, sliding under the audio like a second mouth speaking through him. The words became rhythmic, almost musical, in a harsh language that made the cabin feel smaller. Mira's eyes watered. Stop it now." Dev hit stop. The tape kept playing. Rishi yanked the cord from the wall. The tape kept playing. The cabin lights flickered, and all three of them heard it, clear, right in front of their faces, like the air itself had learned speech. "Thank you." Then the radio unplugged, laughed in short bursts of static, like something amused by its own arrival. Dev swallowed. "Okay, we're leaving tomorrow morning." Mira whispered, "There is no tomorrow morning if we don't last tonight." Above them, in the ceiling boards, something scraped once, slow and careful, like fingernails testing the wood. The first possession didn't look like a movie. There was no spinning head, no flying. It was quieter. That's what made it worse. Mira went to the bathroom, and when she came back, she moved like she was trying to remember how knees worked. Like she'd seen humans walk and was imitating it. Dev called her name. Mira turned her head too slowly, and her face, her normal face, smiled. But the smile was wrong. It was too wide and too calm, like something wearing her skin was pleased with the fit. Rishi backed up. "Mira." Mira's voice came out soft and sweet. "Don't worry," she said. "I'm fine." Dev exhaled, relief punching through fear. "See? She's fine." Mira tilted her head. Her eyes flicked toward the book on the table as if it were a friend. Then she said very gently, "I want you to read again." Dev froze. Rishi whispered, "No, that's not." Mira's smile widened, and her teeth looked a little sharper in the cabin's dim light. "I want you," she repeated, "to read." Dev's throat tightened. "Mira, stop messing around." Mira blinked once, slow, deliberate. Then her voice changed, not louder, just different, like the words were being pushed through a throat not meant for them. I was hungry in the pages, she said. Now I have a mouth. Rishi grabbed the fireplace poker. Dev stumbled backward into the table, knocking the book. It hit the floor with a heavy thud that sounded like a body falling. The cabin shook, just once, like something below had stretched. Mira's eyes rolled up until only whites showed. Then she laughed, a bright, awful laugh that didn't belong in her chest. Dev's hands trembled. What do we do? Rishi's voice cracked. We run. But the front door wouldn't open. Dev yanked. Rishi kicked. The lock didn't budge, like the cabin had decided the inside was safer for whatever was outside. Mira walked toward them, slow and certain. And every step she took, the boards under her feet knocked back, answering her like the cabin was applauding. But they barricaded themselves in the bedroom like it was 1800 and the world outside held wolves. Only this time, the wolves were inside the house, wearing their friend's face. Mira's voice drifted through the door, gentle like she was trying to coax a shy animal. Dev, open up, I'm cold. Dev pressed his hands to his ears. That's not her, Rishi whispered. It knows how to sound like her. Then Mira's voice changed again, became Rishi's mother's voice, scolding. Rishi, don't be rude. Open the door. Rishi went pale. No, 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 no. Dev's phone buzzed. No signal. But the screen lit anyway. A message from an unknown number. Read the book or the cabin reads you. Dev stared at it, shaking. How is this happening? Rishi swallowed hard. Because we played the tape. That was the invite. A thump came from the hallway, then another. Then a long, dragging scrape, like something heavy being pulled across wood. Mira wasn't walking anymore. Something else was. The bedroom window rattled. Dev glanced toward it and froze. Outside, the trees leaned inward, branches bent like arms pressing against glass. But there was no wind. Not even a breeze. The forest was moving as one. The glass fogged from the outside as if something exhaled onto it. Letters formed in the fog. Open. Rishi lifted the poker. If it comes in, I swear. The ceiling light flickered, then went out. In the dark, Mira's voice whispered from right outside the bedroom door. I can be patient, it said. I have all night. Then came a sound that made Dev's blood run cold. A soft page turn from the living room. The book was opening itself, and something began reading in a voice that wasn't theirs and wasn't human, an old cracked melody of syllables that made the cabin groan like it was being stretched. Rishi whispered, It's doing it without us. Dev's voice shook. So we already lost. From under the bed, something tapped upward, 3 slow knocks. Like the cabin agreeing. And not these. The door burst inward without warning. Not kicked. Not forced. It simply stopped being a door. The barricade slid aside like it weighed nothing. Mira stood there in the dark, face calm, eyes shining like wet stones. Dev's breath hitched. Mira, please. Mira smiled. That name doesn't fit me anymore. Rishi swung the poker. Mira caught it with one hand, like Rishi was a child, and she was an adult, humoring him. Then Mira's head snapped toward Dev, and Dev felt it, a pressure in his chest, like invisible fingers closing around his heart. He couldn't breathe. He dropped to his knees, mouth open, no air. Ah! Mira crouched in front of him like she was checking his teeth. "Do you hear it?" she whispered. "The page is calling you." Dev's vision blurred. He clawed at his own throat. Rishi screamed and smashed the bedside lamp into Mira's head. The bulb shattered. Light flared briefly, bright, violent. And in that fraction of a second, Dev saw something behind Mira's eyes. Not a soul. A darkness with shape. A grin made of pure hunger. Mira fell back. Dev sucked in a huge gasp and sobbed like he'd been drowning. Rishi grabbed Dev by the shirt. "Move, now!" They ran for the living room. The book lay open on the floor, pages fluttering though there was no wind. The symbols on the pages looked darker now, like fresh ink. The tape recorder sat nearby, unplugged, but the tape inside was spinning. The voice returned louder. "Read, read, read." Dev's hands shook. "If we burn it." Rishi grabbed the book. "Then burn it." They threw it into the fireplace and lit it with shaking hands. The book caught fire, and the cabin screamed. Not a metaphor. The walls literally gave a long groan like a throat splitting open, and the lights flashed wildly, turning the room into stuttering snapshots. Mira's laugh came from everywhere at once, ceiling, floor, walls, like the cabin had become her mouth. Dev watched the book burn and felt a sick twist of hope, until the flames died, instantly, as if something sucked the heat away. The book sat in the ashes, untouched, not even singed, and a new message appeared on the open page, forming like bleeding ink. "You can't burn a word once it's spoken," Rishi whispered, broken. "Then how do we stop it?" Dev stared at the tape recorder. "We rewind," he said. "Maybe we undo it." Rishi looked at him like he was insane. Dev swallowed. "Or we die?" They returned to the tape recorder like it was a bomb they had to disarm with shaking fingers. Mira, whatever wore her, moved through the cabin slowly, humming a tune that sounded like the tape's language turned into music. The cabin followed her mood. When she hummed, the house creaked softly like it was rocking a baby. Dev knelt at the recorder. His hands trembled so badly he could barely grip the buttons. Rishi stood between Dev and Mira with the poker, useless but determined. Dev pressed rewind. The reels spun backward. The hiss grew louder. And something in the cabin resisted until it raised like an animal feeling a leash tighten. Mira stopped humming. She turned her head toward them. Her smile vanished. For the first time, the thing inside her looked angry. "Stop," it said. Voice deeper now, layered like multiple mouths speaking together. Dev kept rewinding. The cabin lights flickered. The walls knocked, fast now, like frantic fingers tapping from inside the wood. Mira stepped forward. Rishi swung the poker again, harder, fear turning him desperate. Mira didn't even flinch. She grabbed the poker and bent it slightly like soft metal. Rishi's face crumpled with panic. Dev slammed the rewind lever harder, as if force could help. Then the tape audio began to reverse. The ritual words played backward, turning into a distorted chant that made Dev's ears ache. The cabin shuddered. Mira jerked violently, like something inside her was being yanked by a hook. Her eyes rolled back. Her mouth opened wider than it should. A sound poured out, not a scream, not a laugh. Something in between, like a radio station dying. Dev yelled, "Keep going." Rishi shouted, "Hurry." Dev rewound until the tape reached the beginning and clicked to a stop. Silence. Real silence. Mira collapsed onto the floor like a puppet with cut strings. The cabin held still. For one breath, Dev thought it worked. Then the tape recorder clicked. By itself. And the tape began to play forward again. Dev's blood turned to ice. The voice returned, calmer than ever. "Thank you for bringing me to the start." Mira's body twitched. Her eyes opened. And when she looked at Dev, there was a faint hint of Mira in them. Terror trapped behind glass. Like she was still in there. She tried to speak. Only one word came out in her real voice, small and shattered. "Run." Then the smile returned. Wide, wrong, hungry. And the cabin door unlocked with a soft, gentle click. Like it was finally ready to let them leave. Because whatever waited outside was now awake, too.